It's right there. Please just put your name and your student number there because we'll be giving out a certificate at the end of this session. Not today, but next week. Okay. I see that there's a lot of Pacific Island students that are also here, which is very, very good. Yeah. Can you just make sure you put your name there, write clearly, please, and your student number. We just want to make sure that that is written there in the attendance register. Yeah. We just like to reiterate that we'll be giving out a certificate for this session. And we understand that I think most of you have almost completed your programs. Is that right? All right. Some of you have probably left with one semester, which is the second semester for this year. All right. So we'll just give another 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll wait for A and Z to come in.
Yeah, it's on this PC.
Please come right in. And sign your names clearly, please, because we'll be giving out a certificate at the end of the sessions. Not today, but probably next week. Okay? So just write your names clearly, because in the past we've had difficulty trying to print the names when students are in a hurry writing their names. So make sure your names are written clearly, on that piece on any of those 2 pieces of paper that's written there. Just write only once, please, Right, and please fill up the empty seats that have been filled up here by our students that came early, We know that there were over 100 students that registered for this program, so yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing 100 students register for today. Just a reminder for those of you who would like the presentations today, you can actually just send me an email, and then I will post the presentations to you, direct to your email. We are not able to print out the presentations because it'll take very long for 4 big major presentations. Just I think towards the end when we're about to complete, and then probably you might just like to give me your email address so I could send the presentations over to you. Okay. Right, come right in, please. Don't be frightened. This is a very flexible environment that we're in. You can see that there are a lot of students that are signing their names. Please come right through, and please fill up these seats here in the front, please, first. We got a representative from ANZ Bank who's already here. Okay, she's sitting right here waiting for the seats to be filled. Please do write your names clearly, okay? So we're able to print out your certificate at the end of these sessions. But I think the certificates will be given out on Friday next week. It should be ready on Friday next week. Hands up those who know where the USP Career Center office is. The Career Center office is right behind Westpac Bank at the Counseling Center building. All right, we are right in the middle. There's a Disability Center on the right-hand side, and we are right in the middle. And then the Counseling Center is further on the right. Career Center is in the middle. So that's where you'll pick up your certificate on Friday next week. Okay. There are 2 sheets of paper there, okay? So just sign your name only once on either of the 2 sheets of paper, all right? Don't sign on both the papers. Just on 1 sheet of paper, okay? Or you can come down and just take a seat, and then we'll bring the attendance register to you. All right? Please just come and take your seats, and then we'll bring the attendance register to you for you to sign your name. Please fill up these rows first. This row is in the middle. Come on, students. This is your best chance, because we have ANZ Bank is ready to go. Please just take the seats, and then we'll get the attendance register for you to sign, for your certificate that you will pick at the careers office on Friday next week. That will be the end of our study week, eh? Just come right in, please. We're just about to start. Don't worry about the presentations. We will send it to you, the presentation from ANZ Bank right now, eh? All right, so thank you very much, students, for coming in today. We know that when we sent out the information, it was towards the last week of school, and then we just wanted to gauge your attendance, but we would like to thank you for coming in today, and we know that most of you are final year students and are looking forward to getting employed. Eh? We would just like to welcome our first speaker, Mrs. Sharma. She's here from ANZ Bank, and I will not take up any of her time and just hand the mic over to her. Please just give her a round of applause, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for making your time and attending this session this morning. I know you guys must be quite stressful with studies going on and final exams in the coming weeks. So thank you very much for taking out your time. Basically, what we'll be talking here about is preparing you for your future career, what you will be doing in the next few months or maybe next few weeks after your exams. Seeking for a job. So this is basically what we'll be covering, what we do look for in an applicant. By we, I meant all employers, not Okay, so basically what do we look for in an applicant? Not just from ANZ's perspective, but all employers. So it will basically enable you to get not just an employment with ANZ, but with any organization. The second part of this session would be in terms of writing a winning CV and preparing for or acing that interview that comes after the CV. All right, so can I have everyone stand up, please? I know it's early in the morning. All right, so as I go along, you guys may sit down. So the first year students, can you sit down? First year students, if any first year students sit down. All right, so second year students, sit down. Final year students, keep standing. Okay. Now, just with a show of hands, how many of you have got a LinkedIn profile? Okay, I see a few hands. Good. How many of you have already started preparing your CVs? Okay. All right, good show of hands. I think we'll be getting more hands in by the end of the session. All right, you can all have a seat now. I just wanted to gauge the type of audience and like where you guys are at this stage in terms of the preparation for your career. Okay, so I'll just cover the competencies first, the graduate attributes. So The competency is a measurable characteristics of a person that is relatable to an effective performance in a specific job. So as graduates, these are some of the attributes that we have stated that would be required when you start employment or to actually get selected for interview. Now with ANZ, since we are a bank, so definitely yes, customer focus is key. So the middle portion of that diagram focuses on the customer. So customer is key. This does not really mean that if you are a non-customer facing staff or if you are working in another organization that is not the bank, you can always, you would have to some extent your decisions that you make, the type of deliverables that you do would impact the customer in the end. So the end outcome would actually impact your customer. So for example, if a relationship manager or a teller requested you for a document, right? Now, if you are a support staff and if you are unable to provide that particular document to this person, you are at the end result, you are impacting the customer. That's just in terms of the bank context, but if you look at the organization as a whole, each organization has different sets of customers. So the main focus for us is focus on the customer. The other is in terms of exercising sound judgment. Now, when you look at exercising sound judgment, these are basically ANZ terms, but other employers use the exact same thing, but it may not be termed as such. So exercises sound judgment, to simplify, is just making sound and timely decisions and based on careful consideration of factors such as risks. So the decisions that you make should be made in a timely manner. You should really think about the types of decisions that you make, and at the end result, you should consider the impact your decisions would have in a bigger picture. So that's basically exercising sound judgment. And when you are doing this, you have to also ensure the type of risks involved on the decisions that you are actually making. All right? The other part of the competencies or the graduate attributes is regarding broadened perspective. Now, broadened perspective is basically gathering and evaluating diverse perspectives and information to create new insights and innovative opportunities. Now, a lot of organizations these days are focusing on process improvements. So when you look at broadened perspective, it's basically thinking about new ways of doing things, faster ways of doing things, thinking outside the box, not just in terms of the manual or the procedures that is given to you. So that's what basically broadens perspective about, is thinking outside the box, having to come up with solutions that no one has actually thought of, or a gap that you see in terms of what the procedures are and what it could be. So identifying that gap. So these are very key attributes that you must sort of start developing while you are at USP stage, because once you develop these attributes and you portray these attributes in your interview sessions, or even if you if you work for a part-time basis, maybe at the IT call center, or if you are a peer mentor, or maybe if you are working as a volunteer in any of these USP functions that's been done. So it's very important that you start building these competencies while you are at USP, so when you actually graduate, you have already developed this, or to some extent have these competencies inbuilt. All right. The second one is looking at leading and empowering. Now, you must be thinking that as graduates, we won't get any direct reports. No one would be reporting to us. But when I say lead and empower, it basically means to set a clear direction, build well-balanced teams, and engage and empower others to deliver. So you must have heard of the term like, rotten potato in a sack, right? So it's very important that you are not that rotten potato in your team when you start working. It's very important that you lead and empower, in the sense that you be a role model, the example, sort of be inspirational to other team members. So if you are good at a particular task, or you have a certain skill set, it's always good to share within the team with others, so that they can develop that as well. And
it's all about being inspirational and being a role model. So that's what lead and empowers basically means. The other set is developing self and others. So developing self, we basically focus mostly on developing ourselves, but not in terms of developing others maybe. There might be a question mark when it comes to develop others. But developing yourself, yes, you are doing it. Most of you are here for the session. That's to develop yourself, right? To develop yourself in terms of how to do up your CVs, what are some of the competencies, how to ace an interview. So when you look at developing yourself, it's quite easy. But when it comes to develop others, some people might be a bit questionable. Like, should I share the knowledge that I have? So let's say, for example, if you start in a workforce and the workforce might not be of the same generation as you. They might not be millennials. So they may not be that tech savvy. And considering that in USP these days, most of our assignments, presentations are done on Microsoft Office. So you guys are quite tech savvy, I would say. And just say, for example, if one of those members in the team are not able to use PowerPoint presentation, or maybe they're not aware of certain functionality. So this is where you step in and you show what the skills what you know about this PowerPoint presentation and share it with them. So that's not just developing yourself, developing others as well, developing their skill set, sharing that knowledge that you have. The other competency is regarding builds relationships. Now, a key or a very important factor now when you start in the workforce is networking. Networking has become very important. That's how you become visible. And even when you are building relationships, that's one of the key factors of how you gain your visibility. So once you are visible in the organization, you would be able, whatever task and deliverables that you do would also become visible. So it's very important that you are building relationships with your stakeholders, with your customers, and even like nowadays, now when you are in uni, when you are doing group work, it's very important to build relationships, and it'll sort of bring that comfort zone within you and your team so that you'll be able to share certain ideas. So if you look at it, when I'm talking about each of these competencies, it all aligns to one thing. It's about learning, growing yourself, and helping others to grow as well. The other competency that I would like to share is in terms of delivering results. Now you would say, delivering results, what would that entail? Because you haven't started the workforce yet. So delivering results is basically what you are practicing now as a student. So for example, delivering your assignments on time, right? Quality assignments. So when you come to the workforce, you'll be given certain reports to do, certain assignments or certain projects to handle, and you'll be given a deadline as well. Now, when you are performing or undertaking these tasks, it's very important that you stick to the deadline as well as produce quality and quality reports or quality product of the project that you are currently doing. So it's basically about setting your priorities right. That's what basically we do on a day-to-day basis as students as well, right? Setting your priorities right. What's the due date like for which assignment, right? So you organize your calendar accordingly on a daily basis. The next competence is about managing change. Now, there's a lot of changes going on in different organizations. Organizations have example I would give you is, if an organization is using a particular software, and after some time that software might be obsolete. So what happens is that they'll have to introduce a new software, and some people might be reluctant to the change. So it's very hard to have everyone on board when you are implementing change, which is why it's now one of the key competencies that you should be able to manage change in the workforce. So, simple things as like when you are doing a particular course and your course coordinator changes in between. It takes quite some time for you to adjust to a new course coordinator or to a new lecturer. So that's basically how, like we would be expecting you in the workforce to manage change. So it's about demonstrating openness to change, being open to change, welcoming change, and seize the opportunities. Change in uncertainty and successful manages self and others through the change. So while this change process is going on, if you are open to this change, you'll be able to onboard others onto this change process as well. So this has become like one of the very key priorities for most of the organizations, because due to new technology coming in, due to automation going on, everyone wants to be on board and with time. So there'll definitely be changes in policies. So this has become one of the key or most important competencies now. Now I will just take you through something regarding growth and development. So we need to attract and develop and retain leaders and employees who are values-led, well-rounded, and think with a wide-angle lens. So that's not just ours as ANZ's, from ANZ's perspective, but from all the employers' perspective as well. So when you say values-led, this is basically aligning your attitude, your characteristics to the values of the organization. Now I'll cover this later onwards, but I'll just briefly highlight this to you. So when I say values-led, you when you go for an interview, even when you are preparing your CV to apply for a position, you must do a brief research about the organization that you are applying for. They might have certain information about what are their current values, and what you could do is tailor your CV and your cover letter accordingly as well, that is more aligned to the values. And you can also highlight what are some of the values that that organization has, is what what you can give back to the organization in terms of those values. So values-led, it simply means striving every day to make decisions in line with the values of the organization and encouraging and expecting others to do the same. So that's basically when we say values-led, so values of the organization. The other perspective that I wanted to discuss was well-rounded. Well-rounded is basically meaning that breadth of experience and balanced set of competencies that will deliver expected performance. So it's very important that when you are doing your CVs and your cover letters, that you highlight the experience that you have that is very much related to the job. So ensure that you do a thorough research on that particular job that you are applying for before actually doing your CV and your cover letter, because you need to sort of address each and every attributes that a job is requesting for in your CV and cover letter to be actually known. The other perspective that I wanted to share was having a wide-angle lens. So this means stepping outside of our comfort zone, right? Stepping outside of our comfort zone. Like I mentioned, thinking outside the box, embracing diversity of perspectives, and relentlessly looking for new and different ways of doing things. Now, it again ties up to what I mentioned previously in regards to process improvements, automation, whereby you have to find ways whereby you can see if there is a gap between what is currently happening and what you are expected to do. So identifying that gap and implementing, sort of coming up with ideas in terms of process improvement to fill in that gap. So that's basically stepping outside of your comfort zone. Now, the last perspective that I wanted to share was regarding growth mindset. Now, growth mindset is something that is very new to organizations at the moment. It's about the can-do attitude. So it's basically, at any point in time, our mindset is our reflection of our beliefs, and what we believe to be is true, which impacts our thoughts and the voice inside our head. So growth mindset is basically thinking, having a can-do attitude, and also trying to move away from that fixed mindset that you have, okay, I can't do this particular work because I don't have experience in so and so. I don't have these attributes. Moving away from that mindset. So if I just explain, like, for example, a fixed mindset person would say, I'm not sure that she's strategic enough. That's a fixed mindset. Or I'm not sure that that person is strategic enough. a growth mindset, a person with a growth mindset would say, she is yet to demonstrate her strategic thinking in her current role. That means there is a possibility for her to demonstrate that strategic thinking capability, that, but she has not yet. But she has the caliber to develop on that. So it's having that room for improvement. And it's not just for having a perception about others, but a perception of yourself as well. Having that can-do attitude. And sometimes, because, I mean, like most of you would be wanting to study and work at the same time. So it's all about having that can-do attitude. Like some of you would be like, okay, it's 4 units per semester. I might find it difficult, but if you are able to set your priorities right, you can actually make it happen. I would just like to show you a video in regards to ANZ's career progression. Now, before I show you this video, it's basically based on Melbourne and New Zealand ANZ programs that we have had and how people have progressed up the ranks. So not only in those countries, but even in Fiji, we have a lot of success stories whereby people would have started off as call center agents, teller roles, and have basically grown through the ranks and become senior managers in the organizations, or leading a particular branch. So I'll just show you this video, and it's a 2-minute video, I think. Let's see if it plays.
At ANZ, we're a connected community that spans 34 countries. We're focused on attracting and engaging the best talent for our global teams. We believe the only way to do great work is to be passionate about what we do.
Been here for 10 years now, and I've worked across a number of divisions, which has been fantastic. It's such a large organisation, so that gives everyone a lot of opportunity to work in different businesses, different geographies, and with different networks of people. And to me, that's very inspirational in how we get our work done.
I joined ANZ Private back in August of 2006 in a small place in New Zealand called Hamilton. I worked there for a little while as a private banker or an investment advisor. The training that I have had and the opportunities that have come my way have been phenomenal. So I think that's one of the highlights with ANZ.
My name's Nam Ewan, currently in the retail risk team as a manager of collection strategy. Been at ANZ for 11 years. Initially started off in the outbound call centre in the collections team. Over time progressed into a team leader role, into an ops manager role, and finally here I am. I've had some really awesome managers that I've worked for, made some lifelong friendships. Always liked working with people. Old job was hospitality and was given the opportunity to manage people in a small capacity as a team leader, but also, like we were saying before, as a manager and operations manager. Working with a lot of different people and helping them progress has been fairly rewarding as well.
I joined ANZ about 22 years ago, and I wanted a part-time job so I could get through university. So I went into one of the local branches and was successful in getting a frontline role, which was fantastic, and I really enjoyed it. And just the variety, I've been able to move through a whole lot of different roles and get exposed to a whole lot of different experiences.
Getting to know different people, getting to try different roles and work across different divisions or geographies at ANZ is not only a great opportunity, but can also challenge you and further draw your career. So who knows where you might end up.
Okay, so that was the career progression.
Hi, I'm Lucian and I'm from Westlake Boys High School, and yesterday I had a go at being a customer services officer for ANZ, and today
Sorry about that. So that was the career progression at ANZ. Now, currently we have about 7 part-time teller roles. In case you are interested to apply, you can see me after the session, and I'll give you the instruction in terms of how you can go on in applying for these roles. The career progression at ANZ, I would say, is quite progressive. If you look at these success stories, which are based in Melbourne and New Zealand, and I would say the success stories of Fiji are no different. We have these 7 part-time teller roles are divided amongst the different branches along VT level. So there's few in Lautoka, Nandi, Centrepoint, and ANZ branch as well. Now, when you look at, if you're thinking about as a graduate and starting off as a teller role, I know some of you might not be favorable to that idea, but when you look at this video and when you think about it, being a teller does not mean that you'll be a teller for life. You can always progress within the ranks of the business. So it's a part-time teller role, even though it won't be as demanding like for as a full-time teller role would have been. But you can definitely manage your time, studies and work at the same time. So being a part-time teller is not actually just being a teller for life. You can actually move to different divisions within organizations within different divisions within the organizations once you get through. So like I had mentioned, there were a couple of tellers who had moved up the rank and became branch managers. Then they had further moved up and became coaches for the Pacific. And some of them even had a head of retail position in other Pacific Island countries. So it's all about growing within the organization, and it comes back to the competencies that I had previously described. Now I'll move on to the second section of the presentation, which is writing a winning CV. All right, I'm going to make this session a bit interactive. I guess everyone would have been bored listening to videos and everything. Now, I have some ANZ merchandisers, so whoever participates will get some ANZ merchandisers. All right? Now, who can tell me what are some of the important information that should be on a CV? Yes. Excellent. All right. Anyone else? Yes? Work background? Okay, excellent. You can take the merchandises from me after the session. All right, that's good. So what is a CV? A CV or a resume is a compilation of your personal details, like the two gentlemen have mentioned, relevant skill, achievements, and employment history. So the CV that you provide to the employer is basically the first impression of you as a candidate. Now, when you apply for a position, the employer or the organization does not know who you are. They are just judging you and assessing you based on the CV that you provide. So it's basically what you give them on paper is what they assess, what they think of you. So it's very important that you actually pay much attention to the content that you have in this particular CV. Yeah? So you must be able to engage the reader, market your relevant skills and experience, secure an interview, and provide foundation for further discussion. One thing that people usually forget about is a cover letter. So we usually receive a lot of applications, but it would contain a CV, but not a cover letter. Now, a cover letter is basically summarizing your entire experience, skills, and achievements that are specific to the role that you are applying for. Now, when you are developing your cover letter, it's very important that you look at the role mandate or the advertisement that is provided. Now, in the advertisement, you'll always see that there will be a set of bullet points or maybe essential attributes that you are required to meet in order to when you are applying for the role. Now, when you see these attributes, what you can do is in your cover letter, you just copy and paste that particular attribute as a bullet point, and right at the bottom of it, just state the relevant experience that you have had in terms of that particular attribute. So if it says that, okay, you're supposed to be a sound knowledge in MS Office use, or sound knowledge of MS Office. So you can just put that bullet point, and then you can just highlight in your cover letter what are some of how many years of experience you have had in which particular software, and what you have used it for, just to sort of let them know about your experience in that particular, not just for that particular software, but other things as well that comes in the essential attributes bit. Now, don't assume the another person will know you or your role. So if you are currently employed and or maybe doing a part-time job somewhere, so you cannot actually assume that where the person who's receiving your application knows what your role is that you are currently doing and knows you. So be detailed but precise at the same time, and I'll give you some tips on how to do that. And avoid using complicated language or jargons. So if you have been working and you know that there is a particular jargon that has been only used within the USP and not elsewhere, and other people might not be aware of that particular jargon or certain abbreviation, please do not put that on your CV, because the person who is receiving your application will totally be lost what you have put in on your CV. So be as simple as possible. It won't make your CV look impressive or official in any way. It just makes it hard for people to understand. So be as precise as possible. The other thing is you have to be concise. So if there is a short word you can use instead of a long one, use it accordingly. Now what I have given here is an example of how you can be concise but detailed at the same time. So if you see the first example, the first box, the one which has a cross on it, what it says, in my current role, I was responsible for working with all sorts of financial data, reporting to a range of stakeholders in my current team and other business units throughout ANZ. The other one, if you look at the other box, it just says responsibilities, extract financial data and prepare analysis report for senior management. These are simple things that we sometimes don't take heed of, but it actually matters when you see it on paper. Because when we advertise roles, or any employer for that matter, when they advertise roles, they receive a large number of applications. And they want information that's just thrown out to them rather than searching for information in that whole 4 or 5 page CV. The other thing is that it's important to highlight your relevant achievements using evidence to support them. Now, when you are applying, some of them when you apply for positions, you have to state, like, for example, Bachelor's of Commerce in so-and-so field, your GPA, and you might want to attach your degree or your the transcripts as well, academic transcripts as well, but that's sort of optional. But do provide that if you have been called for an interview, because that will be sort of supporting the evidence as a form of evidence of what you have listed on your CV. And your achievements should include the objectives and tangible results for the business. If you have attained or done a particular project while you were employed, or while you were employed, you should just list it down on your CV and make it very brief, rather than, like how I had mentioned here, in my current role, I was responsible for so-and-so. And tailor your CV to meet the key selection criteria and the job description. So if you are applying for maybe a financial accountant position, and if you're applying for say for example, an administration officer level role, your CV would be totally different in terms of the career objective that you state, in terms of the information that you provide would be a bit different for both. So it's very important that you look at the job description or the advertisement that's provided to you. So try to tailor it what the advertisement states about the role, how you are related to that role, what experience you have to add onto that role. So these are some of the things that you can put down on your CV and also your cover letter. And do not just rely on computer spell checkers. Sometimes they might not work as well as you would think. So just do a random check in terms of grammatical errors as well. Like I had mentioned, that you have to have attention for detail as well. And these are some of the things that employers are looking for. Some employers may not consider you for a role just because the grammar was incorrect, and that role actually requires for you to do report writing. So ensure that your grammar is correct. And another thing is that we have received sometimes cover letters, or maybe cover letters at times, whereby it was addressed to another employer and sent to ANZ, but the employer name was different. So before you send your application, maybe check 2, 3, 4 times before you send in your application. And do not emit or periods of employment or unemployment, and ensure your dates are accurate. So in case if you are employed, I understand that most of you would be uni students, and it's very easy for you to justify because there was a particular term or part-time employment that you may have been engaged in. But these are some of the tips that you can use for future as well once you get into the workforce. And don't oversell your skills. Otherwise, your manager or the person, your employer your expectations level would be here, and what you'll be able to deliver would be here. So ensure that you don't oversell yourself. Before I move on to the CV writer, I'll just show you 2 examples of CVs. And you can tell me the difference between the 2. Okay, so CV1. I'll just scroll through. Just to pay attention to CV1 first, then I'll move on to CV2. All right, I'll move on to CV2 now. Okay. Now, can someone from the audience, can you tell me which CV is a better CV and why? Any volunteers? Yes? Sorry? Okay, great. Content layout. Anything else? Yes. Which one is better? Okay, the background color, and what the gentleman had mentioned was the layout of the CV. Anything else? Yes. Okay. Okay. How about if you look at the, since you mentioned order, when you look at the years of experience in the first CV, how they have stated their experience, which year they had gained what experience? Not detailed enough, correct. And what about the years? Not in order. Right, correct. So what order should it be in? Most? recent. Most recent to the oldest job. Correct. Now, if you see this particular CV, all right, we'll just scrutinize the CV from the top. Okay, so first of all, yes, the content layout is very poor. The background is blue. It should be, your CV should be as readable as possible. The font is okay. I would say the font for both is okay. But if you are applying for a role, if you are fresh from uni, it's okay to mention your primary, high school, and university level of education. But do you think after 3 or 4 years of working, do you think you should be listing your primary school and high school education? No, correct. And what about this part? So if it says 2012-2014 University of the South Pacific, what do you think about that? Is that detail enough? No? Correct. So you have to state like what particular course you are doing. No, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor of Arts in USP, and then you can list down your majors. Because at this point in time, we won't be able to judge what that person has actually achieved. So if you look at the other CV, CV2, it has clearly stated out postgraduate diploma, forensic accounting, 2017 to 2018, University of the South Pacific, postgraduate diploma, professional accounting. So this is a much clearer and well laid out CV. Now another thing, if you see work experience, how CV2 is placed and how CV1 is placed in terms of work experience. It doesn't say that term 2011 to what? Worked as a waiter in a restaurant. Which restaurant was it? What was, apart from just saying where I serve people for who came there to eat, obviously they'll come there to eat at a restaurant. So keeping in mind of that, working in a bar, serving drinks for people, what were some of the other tasks? Like not just a bullet point. Worked on a farm with chickens and more animals. Do you think that would be relevant if you are applying for an office administration job? Right. And if you scroll further down, computer skills, PlayStation 4, expert use in FIFA 2019. That'll come in handy in the workforce. Words, typed CV on it. That's the only experience you've had in Word document. Hobbies, drinking, clubbing, and internet chat rooms. Wow, very collaborative person, I would say. Whereas when you look at this particular CV, CV2, I'll just focus on CV2 now, otherwise you'll start writing wrong things in your CVs. So if you see the qualification bit, it's well structured, name, qualification, year, all right? And the term 2017 to 2018. Scrolling further down in terms of the competencies. Now, competencies is what I had mentioned earlier. This is something that you can use for your cover letters as well, if you don't want to put it on your CV. Skilled in analyzing company financial information and performing trend analysis to complex level. That's like, we know when you get into the workforce, but in terms of analysis and problem solving, you can just say something related to an assignment you were given or something related to a group work that you were doing. All right? And employment history, organization, PG Development Bank, for example, title of position, temporary properties officer, employment period, March 2012 to June 2012, and the responsibilities listed down. Right? So this is how your CVs should be looking like. Just move on. And your professional development, training and achievements. If you have been part of a USP program, volunteer work, you can just list it down here, or any certification that you have gained. Now, this is basically what I had covered with you. Avoid use of colors, use large and easy to read typeface, ensure consistency in terms of the type font, and long CVs lose impact. So ensure your CV is between 2 to 4 pages, maybe at a graduate level, maybe 2 to 4 pages would be good enough, so that it does not lose its impact when someone starts looking through a long 6 or 7 page CV. Now, preparing for and acing that interview, what happens after you become successful? Shortlisted. So good first impression, you must rely on the appropriate personal presentation. So how you show up at an interview is very important. No shirts ironed, tucked in, very professional. Have a good posture when you walk into the interview room. Have that positive communication style. Be pleasant yet professional. Some questions that you might want to ask yourself is what is your style and what you want others to perceive you as. So you just want to be yourself when you go for an interview, because you would set an expectation. You don't want to set an expectation that you won't be able to match up. The other is the non-verbal communication. This is basically something that we may do unconsciously, tapping our feet, clicking of our pen while we're in an interview. Like we will be very nervous. It's our first interview, so oh my God, what's going to happen? Crossed arms, clenched feet, playing with hair, expansive hand gestures, smiling all the time. Interviewer is asking you a question and they're smiling. And a firm handshake. A firm handshake is quite something that's like counted as your first impression. So it must be a very firm handshake. And eye contact. Always keep eye contact with your interviewer. Now, topics that you can expect to be covered in the interview include the current roles and responsibilities of the role, or your interest and your motivation for the role, your long and short-term career aspirations, strengths and weaknesses, which is very common in all interviews, your proudest achievements while you were at uni, and the past challenges that you have had. Now, can I quickly have 2 volunteers up, please? I just want to run a small skit. 2 volunteers, please. ANZ merchandisers. Anyone? Just give us about 5 minutes or so. Have a seat. Interview, right? This interview is going to be sort of like a bad interview that we're going to portray to the students, right? So they ask them things. The interview should be a bit of bad. The candidate should be dressed in an inappropriate manner, chewing gum. You have your sunglasses on so you can do the interview and you can be the interviewee, yeah? Alright. So you can so what you can do is just follow this book, follow read through it, and see how you go. If you have any questions, ask me before you are ready to go through it. You can just read through when you are talking to each other. Just read through. Yes, you can be the employee. You can be the what do you do? Interviewer. All good? Set? Want to start? Okay, both of you can stand and then you can start. Okay. Set. So who's got the first dialogue? You can pass on.
Okay, thank you for making time for this interview.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been taking a little time off lately, traveling around the United States. I'm trying to get 1 tattoo from every state. I've already got a pretty good start. See?
So what are your strengths?
I can talk to anybody and about my subject. That's never a dull moment when I'm in a room.
Okay, tell me about a time when you were able to identify and act on an issue which might otherwise have provided a problem to the business.
I always act on the problems when I see them. I've solved lots of problems and saved plenty of money. What I would do is escalate where necessary.
So why did you leave the last employment?
Well, me and the manager didn't always see eye to eye. Sometimes customers were pretty rude when we didn't have immediate solutions, and my supervisor expected me to be nice to these people when they clearly didn't deserve it. It led just as a left mutual agreement.
So what do you guys think about that interview? What was wrong? Or what was right? So basically, he walks in, they shake hands, then he says, "Thank you for your interview," and he says, "Yeah, thanks." Then the employer asks me, "Tell me a little bit more about yourself," and he's like, well, I've been taking a little time off lately, traveling around US, showing him his tattoo that he has got in every state of US. That's kind of appropriate for an interview, right? Then when it comes to asking, why did you leave your last employer? I didn't see eye to eye with my supervisor. And he expected me to be nice to people. Is that something that you should say in an interview? No, right? Can I have another 2 volunteers up? You guys can take a seat.
Come on, 2 volunteers, please.
Okay, thank you for making time for this interview. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I have lived in the city all of my life. I love being around people and I love learning new things. Right now, I'm learning a new language because I think it is important to be able to communicate with a variety of people. I have 2 units remaining to complete my degree, and I have 3 years of experience in the call-off center at USP.
Okay, thank you. What are your strengths?
I'm really good listener. Don't get me wrong. I'm a good talker too, but I think listening skills are even more important. I'm a quick learner, and I have an ability to grasp and concept very easily. I have the ability to cope with failures and learn from my mistakes.
Thank you. Tell me about a time when you were able to identify and act on an issue which might otherwise have provided a problem to the business.
When the payment systems broke, 50 people had nothing to do. I organized everyone to update our database and in-text manual until the system was running again. The supervisor was off sick, so I stepped in and got everyone working again in an hour. As a result, we were able to execute the day-to-day functions smoothly.
All right. So the last question, why did you leave your last employment?
I left because I had started school and couldn't do both school and to work at the same time.
Thank you so much.
All right. What did you think about that session? How was this interviewee? Better? Getting there, right? Okay. So if you can see some of the things that, like what we had in the script was, she actually, when he had asked her, tell me a little bit about yourself, she explained about things relevant to not to the role, but relevant to work experience. Like learning a new language, having 2 units left to complete the degree, having 3 years of experience in the call center, which might be relevant for the employer to know. And when it came to strengths, she mentioned that, yeah, she's a good listener, she's a good talker too, she's a quick learner, ability to grasp on concepts, very precise answers, nothing general, right? And then when she was asked on identifying an issue which she had to act on, she gave a clear and specific example rather than a very generic one. And why did you leave your last employment? She mentioned that she couldn't do both school and work at the same time. Now, one thing that you should always remember is that you should not talk ill about your last employer to your current one, or your current employer to your next employer, because that basically portrays the type of person you are. So it's important that you sort of filter what you say to your in the interview. Like how she mentioned was, couldn't do both school and work at the same time. Some employment might not have ended on a good note, but you can always say that, you can just give an excuse that, okay, I was not able to cope up. But don't talk bad about any other person or a particular employer. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so before you go for an interview, you should know the organization, do a brief research on the organization, Google them, know a bit about their values, their vision, their mission, what are their actual functions. Some organizations may not have an online site. Try checking with your contacts. If they know that particular organization, what are their main core or function. Always have a look at the advertisement very thoroughly. Identify some of the things the skills that you have in that particular advertisement that's listed. If you have been shortlisted, yes. Okay, so the other thing is you have to, if you have been shortlisted for an interview, you can request the employer to provide you with a job description if possible. Some may not be able to provide, but those who can, just do get a hold of the job description. So you'll be able to write up your CV and your, not your CV, but prepare your interview well. And do a brief research about your interviewer. So the person who gets in touch with you will definitely send you maybe a meeting invite or brief schedule on Gmail about where the interview is going to be held and who's part of the interview panel. Search them up on LinkedIn, search them up on Google. They might have been on, you might be able to find them on there. Prepare questions you will ask the interviewer at the end. It's always good to have a few set of questions that you are planning to ask the interviewer at the end, because after the end of every interview, the employer would ask, do you have any questions for us? And you should always ask something rather than just saying no questions. So it's always good to prepare something for that. So So this is what we had covered, interview responses. Now interview behavior, present yourself professionally and arrive slightly early on time. Build rapport and smile. Show confidence and enthusiasm. And be yourself and let your personality shine. Don't talk over the interviewer or waffle. So if your interviewer is talking, let them complete the question that they are asking rather than just start giving you answers, and make sure that you give your answers in a clear and precise manner. Don't assume that your interviewer knows your achievements, or be too relaxed if it's an informal interview. You should have all the details with you. You know all your what you have provided in your CV, in your cover letter that was on your application, because you'll have to support those as evidence. Don't talk negatively about your past, present managers or colleagues. It gives a very wrong impression of you. So these are some of the interviewer behavior that we had, and basically that summarizes up our presentation. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask now.
Any questions, please?
Yes. Oh, so usually if it's a face-to-face interview, it's usually one applicant after the other. And I guess the practice now is that usually employers don't want one applicant to meet the other. Like they don't want them to be discussing anything. So nowadays the practice is that one person goes in. When they come out of the interview office, they won't find any applicant waiting outside, because that applicant has been put into another room. No, they don't want any discussions to be taking place or know who was the other applicant. So it's usually on a one-to-one basis with the interviewer and the applicant. However, if you are going for assessment, some organization run assessment centers. That might be done collectively in a group way, if they are giving hard copy assessments. And some organizations have online assessments, so they'll simply send you the link. But yes, if they are running a large assessment center, they might just book a lecture theater or something, and they just give the assessments out. So it depends the type of interviewing that you are going through. But if it's a face-to-face, it should be one-to-one. Anyone else?
Questions, please.
Yes. Okay, the assessment that I was talking about was mostly like psychometric assessment that you may have heard of, like psychometric testing. So these are basically assessments that are developed by organizations to shortlist their candidates further. So this would be just a link, and it'll have maybe a set of mathematical questions regarding what's your priorities like. So it'll be basically everything would be online. However, some organizations may conduct video conferencing interviews. So video conferencing interviews, they'll definitely provide with you the details in terms of how you can connect with them on a video conference call. Anyone else?
Any other questions? No further questions. Right, could we just give a round of applause for Ms. Rashmi Sharma? Oh, and we have some giveaways here, courtesy of ANZ Bank. Okay, so when we're about to finish, then we will hand this free gifts out to you. Well, all right. Just for your information, students, we have this presentation that we will actually send out to your email, right? Based on the registrations, when you've just come through the door, you probably may have not put in your name. We are circulating an attendance register because towards the end of this workshop, we'll be giving out a certificate to you. So maybe towards the end of the workshop, we will again ask you to please write your names and your student numbers there. I think there's a list that's been circulated as we speak. Yeah? All right. Thank you very much, the representative from ANZ. A round of applause to her again, please. All right. We have our next presenter is Mr. Hunter, Mr. Harry Hunter, who is the co-founder of Think Pacific. He's also here with us today and more or less assisting us with our career development topics as students look out to further their employment opportunities. A round of applause, please, for Mr. Harry Hunter. There you go.
So thank you very much. Good afternoon all. Presentation. My name is Harry, as introduced, the co-founder for Think Pacific. And I wanted to start today by just introducing who Think Pacific is for you. We may not be quite as recognized as ANZ within Fiji. Think Pacific is a charitable trust registered here in the Fiji Islands in 2014. We are also a UK non-profit organization. So to start with, what is our story? Who we are, to bring us to have the opportunity to present to you as USP students this afternoon. As I mentioned, we are a Fijian charity and a UK social enterprise, and we were created at the University of Leeds in the UK. We were inspired by Fiji and the time that both myself and my co-founder Simon spent for 9 months volunteering in rural schools, and during my first year of university, we were very fortunate to meet the Career Centre at the university, and with the USP itself having a really vibrant and active career centre, I guess could share my personal story that as a student, if you do have a concept, if you do have an idea, if you do have a thought of what you could do and how you could do it in the world of business, share that idea with the professionals around you, because they're here to provide the support, their knowledge, their experience that can guide and structure what could be a simple vision or concept for you. And we Think Pacific were fortunate to have that process at the University of Leeds and go through their business startup program. We began projects in Fiji in 2009, starting on the island of Motariki in the Lomaviti, moving through Batiki, Nairangau, Koro, and then now this year, 2019, we will be working in 9 provinces in Fiji when we're here. And much of what we do is partnered with the Fijian government. Investing time into partnerships would be something I would advocate for in any career or job opportunity you may seek. Because through partnership and through discussion, you will only get better and get stronger for it, and it allows you accountability and sustainability in whatever field you are working in, both partnerships, company to company, but perhaps as importantly, person to person. And that's something that Fiji taught me as a young 19-year-old student volunteering, and a kind of message and motto that we've carried in to Think Pacific as an organization. As an organization, we partner more than 35 universities in the UK, and slightly later in my presentation, we will look at how we hope to engage USP students in that as well, providing the same opportunities as the UK international university students, both in terms of volunteering, internship, and employment roles that we have. And this year, we shall have more than 1,000 university students visiting Fiji for our projects. So why are we here? Why am I here today? To speak to you at the Job Seekers Fair, obviously to provide some information on our organization, to hopefully create a platform to engage USP students within Think Pacific, within our projects, within our programs, within our staff teams, and also to support job skill development for Pacific youths. Like I said, I myself benefited from that process at my own university, and so if I can in any way support and assist others, that would be of value to myself and to Think Pacific. The brief history summarized for you in terms of our projects, our programs, and where we deliver them. So our community development program under the Towards a Healthy Fiji is based, as I said, in the Lomaviti, and I did recognize on a road towards the back, Demua, who, when I was leading a project in Batiki, I actually stayed with Demua's family. It was my home, away from home for that time, so it's great to see at the time what was a Class 8 student at Batiki District School, now here at university, forging her own career and her own path. We then have our youth and sports development programs under the health promoting schools, and these are the provinces and the areas that we currently work. And as I mentioned, partnership is a key word for us, both as individuals and as an organization. And in Fiji, we've been very fortunate to partner with a number of organizations. And the reason I highlight this is in terms of job and career development for a student. If you are to volunteer, if you are to work with Think Pacific, you not only represent us and who we are, but you would also be working in partnership with these ministries and organizations. And that's something we're very proud of, and we believe adds value to student growth and development within the workplace as well. And potentially a video will say it better than me.
Bulavinaka, I'm analyst with Omia.
Hi, my name is Roddy Drummond.
My name is Philip Herniko.
Hi, my name is Vinita Nand.
Hey, I'm Tules Kalomera.
My name is Apakuki Kurusinga.
My name is Manasa Nimbalirua Senyasi.
My name is Dr. Ismail Tukana.
Bula, my name is Saleh Sorobaki.
I'm Chochilinga.
The biggest challenge here in Fiji is the access to high quality early care and education. To have Think Pacific coming in and then to reach out to the outer islands, that's the greatest asset or gift that an organization could give into a country.
The program seemed to me to be really well conceived and done in partnership with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Social Welfare and Sports and so on. So this isn't doing anything that cuts across what the authorities or the schools themselves are doing. It adds to it, and I think that's great.
We are so friendly, and we welcome and cherish the contribution that is done by our Think Pacific volunteers. Those of you who are thinking of coming, please come. Yeah? Please come over. And Fiji will turn on its hospitality and charm so that you'll enjoy your number of days or number of weeks stay in Fiji.
I'm just looking forward to that this partnership will continue so that our young people whom we may not be able to reach as a ministry, Think Pacific will be able to complement our services.
If you take people from the UK and take them to a rural place, it's an exchange as well. They learn from the Fiji experience and Fijians learn from the UK experience. The volunteers help with sports, with education, with rebuilding. So there's a lot of work that they do, and I think it is very well appreciated, not only within those communities, but on Fiji, throughout Fiji as a whole.
Think Pacific projects are addressing these issues by starting right from community level at schools where behaviors and lifestyles need to be created.
People talk highly of Think Pacific and what you did with the schools and their children. It's something different from their normal teachers relationship, but they like the way members of Think Pacific interrelate with them. They were assisted in their schoolwork and also in the sports, building them into another level of appreciating what they can do.
It's an amazing privilege. It's a side of Fiji, the real genuine heart of Fiji, that most tourists never get to see. It can really be such a positive thing for someone's development. They're confronted with experiences and having to operate in an environment they've never dealt with before. It really can be a lasting transformation for young people.
Think Pacific works fast. Think Pacific comes in with teams. The Think Pacific approach
It's targeting the whole community. It's targeting the children in schools, it's targeting the women, it's targeting the men. It's the holistic approach. It's something that we couldn't put a dollar sign on, and it's something that's been available.
You know, volunteers coming in, just give them that opportunity for exposure, and this is what we are lacking. It's very positive what Think Pacific is doing in line with what we're trying to achieve from the Commission.
We are very welcoming people. And with a rugby background, bring it across to Fiji and we'll put you somewhere where you can utilize that knowledge, but Fiji is waiting for you.
Well, thank you very much for listening. I hope to see you in Fiji soon. Benaka.
So that provided hopefully an insight into the partnerships and where the project can sit within Fiji itself, within local organisations, ministries and stakeholders for the programmes. In terms of the projects to date, these are our stats in terms of volunteers, provinces, the villages that have been very kind enough to host our groups and teams, and the building projects and schools programmes that have been conducted. In terms of what we do on the ground, these are some of the key aims and initiatives that we would look to engage USP students in, whether it be early child education assistance across key areas and development components, whether it be literacy and numeracy work in schools, one-to-one and small group tuition, but also extracurricular activities and advocacy workshops. And I highlight this because as a student at university, a big personal and professional development component can be cross-curricular learning. Learning outside of your specific field that develops your skills and interests, that when you then move into the field of work or the field of employment, you have a more holistic professional development approach that you've undertaken. And that is why we do highlight this. The university students we engage internationally, but also locally, do not need to have a very specific core field, but rather can apply their skills, their knowledge, their passion to student development across different areas. And sports and physical education is also one of our key components. A range of sports, a range of activities, keeping young children and engaging youth in health that I'm sure all of us could contribute and participate in very actively and very passionately. In terms of the project, I sometimes think videos are more powerful than me standing talking, so I will provide a video on the project itself just to give you further insights.
Think Pacific organise volunteer expeditions to the Fiji Islands. Join a team, live at the heart of a Fijian village, and work on education and sports projects which are making a real difference to the lives of Fijian children.
So your Think Pacific journey here in Fiji begins at Nadi Airport, where the project leaders will meet and greet you off the flight. It's onto the bus and down the Coral Coast. So arriving at the briefing resort, we have a minimum of 2 nights where we have a chance to relax, bond as a team, play some volleyball, play some games, get to know each other a little better. But we also have a chance to brief on the project itself, the aims, the objectives, the initiatives that we hope to deliver, and also the challenges that living within a Fijian village brings. And then it's up either by truck into the highlands for the village, or it's onto the boats and across to the islands. Arriving into the village, met by the Tarangani Koro, the village headman, some of the families you'll go in, you'll present your traditional sevu sevu, the carver routes to the village. It's time to meet the families and head to the homes.
This complements and adds a lot to the life of the schools and the life of the communities.
I've never been somewhere where I've just done so much stuff and been so proud of everything I've done.
On project, you have your education classes in the morning, extracurricular and sports coaching in the afternoon, and then some pretty busy evenings with the village. Saturdays are a chance to explore, whether that be through trekking, heading to the river, heading out fishing, the different activities, the different elements that we bring. It's a chance to kind of immerse yourself into local village life.
You see them develop every day and they really benefit from getting one-on-one attention.
Oh, I see that it's a win-win situation. It's not only that the host family learns, but I see too that our volunteers, they learn a lot about our culture, our values.
Think Pacific has honestly been one of the best experiences of my life.
Think Pacific is a major contributor to the Healthy Island or Health Promotion Program in Fiji. Changes are happening wherever we send our volunteers to. In whatever province that we send our volunteers, that is where things are happening.
Think Pacific is doing an awesome job with our youths in our rural communities.
They bring us a very big thing, so we cannot forget the Think Pacific. We can't. Think Pacific, it is in our heart.
When the Think Pacific volunteers came into the classroom, the closeness that they develop with the children, it's really unique and special.
Think Pacific are there in the villages, waking up with the children. It's not that you're staying in a hotel, but you live right there in their homes. And you bring this out to the quality of living.
The one-to-one basis with the Think Pacific group, this is one area that they really help us a lot. The way we look at it, it's really effective.
Oh, they were magnificent. They were really nice staying with us. They lived with us just like families. When they departed, all of us were emotional. We were all crying.
Whether your passion be sports coaching, one-to-one education tuition, extracurricular activities, arts and crafts, singing, dance, or the development of grassroots rugby and netball, there is a role you can play and a significant impact that you can make in the implementation of Think Pacific's aims and initiatives, but most importantly in the development of these rural areas, communities and school children. If Think Pacific sounds like the challenge for you, if Think Pacific sounds like your type of experience, then please give Simon or our UK team a call, ask any questions that you may have, and we hope and look forward to preparing you and guiding you on the incredible experience and the incredible journey that lies ahead. Vinakava level. So an insight there, guys, into the project itself, both the aims and initiatives, but also the hop and the rugby that gets enjoyed by all. And we do have, as well as our education aims, our building components. Again, another opportunity to potentially explore different personal and professional goals, aims, and objectives for you as a student, whether that be in a volunteer role or a future employment capacity through the building project. So I guess the big thing to link it all together for today's purpose for the Career Centre and for the Job Seeker Skills Fair is, why would you guys be here today? The aim and objective is very much that chance to enhance your CV and employability, which I know the previous speaker spoke at length on in terms of how to present CVs going into interviews and to promote yourself within the world of work when you're there. So how Think Pacific can enhance your CV and your employability and your job-seeking components comes through our three main roles. The volunteer role, a potential internship program with the foundation, and the employment opportunities that exist within our organization. And we believe this links to experiential learning and graduate career roles. Volunteering for us, I myself volunteered immediately before university, as I mentioned, 9 months in Wainunu in Bua, up on Vanuatu. And that 9 months taught me a huge amount, I think far more than 18 years at school had, in the chance and the opportunity to live and learn from the community members around me. And it was that experience that inspired my future world, my future life, which is Think Pacific and which is Fiji. And that is where I would highlight volunteering to you, because volunteering is an opportunity to experience, to look, to listen and to learn from others, to test and stretch yourself in a different environment, in a cross-curricular environment, and speaking from experience, that will only add value, both personally and professionally, for you as a job seeker. And we at Think Pacific, whilst engaging the international volunteers, have a passion, a desire, an interest to engage local students, USP students, FNU students, because we believe, as one of our partners very rightly said, it is not simply the contribution that you make as a volunteer, but the learning experience that you gain from it. And we know the value and the impact that you would have as a student volunteering on our projects, both socially, but across the holistic development aims as well. Internships. We provide internship placements for students, again, both international and local, because we believe in work-integrated learning. Taking your skills that we learn within the lecture theatres and applying them on the ground in rural areas. And we have placements, both 10-week and 5-week across our May to August period, which we are currently holding recruitment workshops for. What do we believe your employment skills can be developed through internships? Leadership, teamwork, confidence, internationalization, creativity, responsibility, adaptability. Trust me when I say that an internship role with Think Pacific, but I'm sure with many others, would test and stretch each of those areas for you, which will only make you better, more confident walking into that interview. It will only make you better and more confident in paper when presenting your skills on a CV, because you will have tested yourself and you will be able to speak and language around the challenges that you encountered and how you overcame them within an employment setting. And then, of course, the employment opportunities under our foundation. We do have full-time roles, which will enhance your skills and your attributes, we hope, as you lead and guide the projects and programs that we deliver. Through that, you will engage an international staff team and international volunteers, as well as our most important partners, the local communities, the host schools, the teachers, the villages. And you will represent our local partners and our NSOs, which with it brings a professional development component. And the role of leader, the role of project leader, is one that is very challenging, but it is very rewarding. And we asked some of our international leaders, our international university students, to share some of the challenges, but also the highlights that they experienced in terms of their employability through leading on projects.
I would say remain calm in all situations.
It is tough, it's quite intense. Man management and making sure everyone's happy at all times and enjoying it, that's quite hard. I think just always being personable and approachable, and also planning. You get caught out if you don't plan in advance and know what's happening.
As a leader, it's been challenging at times, but as always, with challenges comes rewards. The highs far outweigh the lows. It's been an incredible experience, and I never regret being a leader.
Advice I'd give to future leaders is expect the unexpected. No matter how much Harry and the gang will prepare you to come out here, it's incredible what you find, what you see, who you meet. Overall, such a positive experience.
I think realising that everyone's in the same boat. I think it's not just me going through those kind of frustrating moments, it's everyone goes through them, and realising that it's something that if you put your heads together, or if you go away and just have 2 minutes to yourself, think, where can I go from here? This isn't working, this is working, where can I improve on it and go forwards with? I think that's something that really helps me in trying to plan and make my time purposeful as possible.
The best thing for me probably has been to watch other volunteers start to love Fiji the way I did. They get past the challenges and then start to really appreciate where they are.
Just relax and trust your instinct.
From leading, I think I've gained a bit more self-confidence. I'm a lot more confident now in front of other people, new people, larger groups, which I wasn't a few years ago at all.
I've gained a new sense of adaptability from being a leader, just having to adapt to different situations and apply yourself to other people's problems too, not just your own.
The concept of leaders eat last. I love the food so much in Fiji. I found it difficult to watch everyone else's food be served first, but I understand why we do it.
Leading has improved my employability skills quite a lot, actually. I think leading is quite a tough job. There's so many challenges that we do face every day, and being able to overcome that has given me quite a lot of leadership skills that I'm going to take into further jobs.
So what I love most about leading is the fact that I can really provide an experience that I got when I was volunteering to a new set of volunteers and make it a magical experience that I had when I was volunteering. The thing I found most challenging about being a leader was having to step back from the volunteer role and really letting the volunteers take the reins.
It's been such a life-changing experience again, completely different experience coming out as a leader, but thoroughly as enjoyable. It's been incredible.
So to link then key attributes for employability that we believe are important going into the job and employment industry. Self-awareness and understanding, and it links to the previous presentation when they mentioned understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. And that's something that's incredibly important, we believe, for professional development. Because if you can understand your strengths and weaknesses, you can understand the areas where you need to grow and improve and develop, because each and every one of us, whatever position you may be in, at whatever organization you may work for, has areas to grow and develop. No one is ever the finished article. And employers, organizations, businesses want to see that willingness to learn and grow, because it will only make you better. Work experience or university society. If you have societies at the universities, if you have opportunities to gain work experience while you're a student, that will what will separate you, or can separate you, from others. Obviously, as I'm sure you know, there is a lot of students coming out and seeking employment, so you have to have that X factor. You have to have that point, that reference on your CV when you walk into that room that can separate you, and that can come through a range of different things. Work experience or being an active member of a university society can demonstrate so many of the employability skills that we mentioned. Past volunteering experience, as I've touched on, that experiential learning through experiences, it is one of the most powerful tools you can possibly have in terms of employability. The role, the knowledge, the passions. Why do you want to work for that foundation, that organization, that company? What drives you to send your CV? What pushes you to walk into that interview room? Because if you're passionate about something and if you enjoy something, you'll never work a day in your life. Because every day you'll be waking up and doing something you love. And if you can demonstrate that passion, that excitement, that can be the X factor that separates you from all those others who are going into that interview room that day. So find something you love. And like I said, you'll never work a day in your life. Applicable skills, leadership, adaptability, communication, teamwork, and references. References, both personally and professional, can add real weight and value because, again, people who can kind of attest to your skills and your attributes and how you've demonstrated those is of real importance to other employers when looking to hire you. So do place value in the personal relationships that you build, but also the professional relationships that you build, and understand how that can positively impact your future employability. For us, as an example of an application process, as I mentioned, I know the previous speaker also touched on standard processes. We very much believe the first step is for you to understand some background and have a job description prior to forwarding your CV document and attending a recruitment workshop. Workshops are often an opportunity to look to engage those applying in practical activities and examples. So a slightly different format to a one-on-one formalized interview, but another very worthwhile opportunity to showcase your skills, your interests, your passions, and the attributes that you have. We then have a 2-day training program before a 1-month trial project and full-time employment. And just to provide some contact information, I guess the one I would highlight most clearly is our project manager, Raululu Naituki, who couldn't be here today to present with me. He is currently conducting a recruitment workshop, but he is a key point of contact for us, for those looking to volunteer or gain internship or work employment placements with Think Pacific. So if at any point you did want further information or advice, Raululu is a very worthwhile and good man to contact. And just before I close, again, I thought I'd end by, we asked our staff team and our volunteers to use 3 words to describe their experience in Fiji, an experience that, like I said, we believe you would add value to as you go. And these are their attempted 3 words to close the presentation.
I think 3 words to describe my experience would probably be
Mad, challenging,
enjoyment,
family, friends. Let's think of another F. Fun. I can't think of another adjective.
Bloody handsome.
Rewarding and enjoyable.
Experience in 3 words.
I definitely say challenging, because there's been a lot of new things to come across.
Fun, fantastic and life-changing.
An exciting, challenging adventure.
Nice one.
Nice.
Oh, surprising, exciting, and just crazy sometimes.
Eventful, amazing, memorable. Positive.
Carver.
Complete cultural immersion.
Challenging, rewarding, and humbling.
Definitely invaluable and fun, because although there's stressful times, overall it's so much fun.
A lifetime opportunity. That's just not 3 words. Overwhelming at times, amazing, and just happy all the time.
If I had to describe Think Pacific in 3 words, I would say it was breathtaking, unique, and certainly unforgettable.
Fun and memorable.
Different? No, that's rubbish. Let me think of a 3rd word. If I could sum up my experience in 3 words, it would be that it's exciting, challenging, and unique.
Intense.
Life-changing.
Breathtaking. Highly enjoyable. Does that count as one?
An unforgettable experience.
3 words to sum up the project would be inspiring, hilarious, and mental.
Surprising and amazing. I wouldn't have changed it for the world.
friendships just because of all the friends you meet along the way, and you always stay in contact with them. And fun is incredible. I don't think I've laughed as much in any time abroad, so it's been incredible.
Eye-opening, fun and rewarding.
To sum up my experience in 3 words, I would say it was exciting, rewarding and enjoyable.
Imagine that. Unforgettable, inspiring, inspirational.
Special, chilled. Oh no, I don't know. They're like the wrong ones, you know what I mean?
Like I said, they attempted to provide us 3 words to describe their experience. Thank you very much for listening. I would be happy to take any questions if anyone did have any thoughts or questions to ask.
Questions, please, students. Come on, this is a wonderful opportunity for you to inquire about Think Pacific, and we have Harry here, who's the co-founder of Think Pacific. Questions, please. All right, thank you very much, Harry, for your wonderful presentation. I don't think so there is any questions from any students, but we have your email address there, right? If students are interested, you can just drop an email straight to Harry Hunter. You can come and see me at the Career Center and Services where we have his contact address. A round of applause for Mr. Harry Hunter, please. We will just break for 5 minutes, okay? Well, I put up a few slides for you to see, just to complement our career development workshops that we've already seen, probably 2 or 3 topics that we've already seen, like the application letter writing, CV and resume development, and of course interview skills. Right, could we have your attention, please? This is our last session for the day, and I would like you just to show you a video on creating employment portfolios. Basically, career or employment portfolios are evidences that you normally take during an interview, during the course of an interview. If you are called for an interview, you would have to compile a list of evidences, certificates or degrees, or even letters for volunteerism, etc. So these are evidences that you actually compile together in a sort of like a booklet form that you normally take during the course of an interview when you have been called for an interview. I thought probably I'd just show you this video on career portfolios, which is very, very important. It is a very, very important document that students normally take during the course of the interview, because in the beginning when we had the presentation today, we had application letter writing, we had resume, and also we had interview skills. That was both taken by the two employees who did their presentations this morning. So I'll just show you this video that we have made here at the Career Center at USP, and it is a very, very important interview. These are evidences that you take during the course of the interview. All right, so just sit back and watch this video. This video is on creating employment portfolios, a document that you normally take during an interview. What is a career portfolio? It is a personal collection of materials documenting your work history, professional development, achievements, career and career planning, job applications and other job information. It is also a show and tell, which is of course the evidence of knowledge, your skills, attributes, and capabilities. Why create a portfolio? A portfolio can be used to market your capabilities in job interviews, negotiate promotions and raises, apply for bonuses, scholarships or grants, document the quality and quantity of your professional development, demonstrate prior work or learning experiences for educational credit. What is an interview portfolio? An interview portfolio is a small but to-the-point selection of items from your career portfolio. It is tailored to sell you for a specific job. What does it show? Understand what the job requires. Meet all the job requirements. Proof of the skills that you are selling. It helps set you apart from other interviewees because it displays your uniqueness. Opportunity. A career portfolio elaborates on the sections of your CV which you are most proud of. A career portfolio includes additional information about yourself that are relevant to the job for which you are applying. It is meant to highlight your abilities and skills. It is also meant to document your classroom, employment, and extracurricular achievements. How do you start an interview portfolio? You must organize and have some ample time. 1. Read thoroughly the advertisement, the job description, and analyze it. Then list every soft skill in order of importance. You must assess what you can offer in terms of strengths, your skills, and your abilities. Think of past experiences that demonstrates you have these skills. Go to your career portfolio and select items that will go into this interview portfolio. Order items reflecting importance to the employer of skills and qualities listed in step 1. What goes into the portfolio? Official records. In fact, they are proof of the qualifications you say that you have in your resume or in your CV. And official transcripts of your student records. Licenses or training certificates. Evidence of your professional affiliations. Conferences and workshops attended. Articles or photos addressing your achievement. Written references. Certificates or letters of nominations for awards, honors, and scholarships. Official evidence of specific skills, for example, your typing speed.
work experience or placement reports, job appraisals. What goes into the portfolio continued? Evidence of achievements, less official, more interesting ways of showcasing that you are suitable for the job. Photographs demonstrating your skill. For example, if you're applying for a job in cabinet making, you might put in a photo of some drawers that you have built. Your work samples such as class projects, work experience projects, reports you've written, presentations you've created, and samples of different kinds of writing. A list of seminars and workshops you've attended, including a description of each. A program from an event you planned or in which you participated as part of a class project, student association, or voluntary work. A newspaper article or profile from staff newsletters that highlight your accomplishments. Your presentation, make it look good. It should be well organized, professional looking, and error-free. A portfolio creates a positive and strong image of you. It's easy to flip through to see your abilities match the ones that they need. For each work or evidence sample, provide a very short statement that describes briefly but clearly the context in which the item was created and list the skills it developed or demonstrates. The presentation format. You must have a cover page, a table of contents, and an organizational system. According to job description, most important and relevant materials close to the front. It must have tabs or dividers or plastic sleeves to separate the various parts of the portfolio. Put similar items together, example, reference letters, photos, or work samples. You must have everything in chronological order or in alphabetical order. Present your portfolio well. Mention in your covering letter and on your resume that you can provide a portfolio on request. Why? It makes you look organized and professional. Always take your portfolio to job interviews. You never know how handy it might turn out to be. When it's appropriate to respond to the interview's questions with portfolio examples, please do so. Present your portfolio well. No chance to show your portfolio during the interview. Show 1 or 2 items at the end of the interview to reinforce the good impression you've made in the interview. If there isn't time to show your portfolio to an employer in detail, or you want to point out something that you forgot to show or didn't include in the portfolio, send copies of your items to them along with your thank you letter as a follow-up to the interview. Never leave your portfolio with an employer. It has a personal material in it, and any work samples you include are likely to be confidential or copyrighted to the companies where you produce them. The point of a portfolio is just to show what kind of work you can do, not to leak company information. Thank you very much for watching this video presentation.
Students, I'll just show you another video. This is on interview skills.
The video that you're about to see is about a resume and CV. What is a resume? A resume is a document to market.
Sorry, on resume and CV.
Your skills, experience, education, and accomplishments to employers. It is meant to get you an interview. Remember, it's not your life history. A resume is very concise and easy to scan for information. What is a CV? or a curriculum vitae. This is a document that presents your qualifications for academic employment or graduate school. It addresses your education, your research, teaching, publications, presentations, professional development, and academic accomplishments. A CV or a curriculum vitae is rather lengthy and much more detailed. It is a guide to where you have been academically and professionally associated with any form of employment. What are some of the basic guidelines? First of all, you have to utilize a 10 to 12 point plain font. Use consistency in your presentation. One page is preferred, but 2 pages are used when you have enough relevant experience. The most impressive related experience should be towards the top of the page. Please use action words to start your statements. Include industry-related buzzwords. Target it to the career field you are entering or to the job description that you are applying for. The categories. Both resume and CV, you must have education, you must have your honors, your internships, related experience, research, additional involvement, activities, your volunteer and community involvement, your skills, your work experience, related coursework, technical skills. In a resume, it would be objective. You must provide a profile or a summary of qualifications. In your CV, you must provide some publications that you have done or some very important presentations, professional development, or some presentations that you've done in conferences, and of course, your teaching experience. Resume statements. Use action verbs to describe what you did in each position or experience. Be descriptive and specific. Write a full statement. Remember, action verb plus details plus results equals a strong resume statement. Look at job postings to get new ideas. Practice telling someone else what you did in each position or how you demonstrated each skill. Let's begin with personal information. In this CV, you will see that there's a bold on the person's name. Obviously, this person wants to show the employer that this is his CV by bolding his name. Profile, a summary of qualifications. For example, this person has put as his profile, motivated entry-level professional with a solid understanding of family systems and counseling psychology, excellent interpersonal skills, an ability to interact with people of diverse backgrounds and cultures, experience in developing and implementing youth programs. You must have a summary of qualifications. In this instance, this person has put highly motivated entry-level professional with a solid understanding of community issues, ability to interact with people of diverse backgrounds and cultures, proven effectiveness in developing and implementing programs for children and families, excellent communication, writing and research skills. Next is education. The person is actually bolded the Bachelor of Arts to show the employer that he has a degree, and his degree is Bachelor of Arts. In this instant, it is Bachelor of Arts. You must name the college and the year that you gained your qualification and what was your subject major. If you have been honored with an honors list, or if you're a member of any professional organization, please list that down. And some experiences of studying abroad, also list that down. In this instant, this person has studied at the University of Galway in Ireland. Your research, this is very, very important in your CV, in your resume, because it shows the research skills that you have. In this instant, this person has statistics and methods research project where? At Oaksback College in Minneapolis. What did he do during the course of his research? He examined the correlation between attachment styles in young adults from divorced families. He hypothesized that individuals from divorced families would be more likely to have an insecure attachment style. He discovered that there was no statistical correlation between attachment styles and divorced families. Your related experience is very important. What was some of your internship experience? Please list that down in your CV or your resume. Your work experience. Employers are always out to see the kind of work experience that a person has. What have you done as a student worker? And what was your role and responsibility? Please list that all down in your resume or your CV. Your professional development. In this instant, this person is put that he's a student member of the prestigious American Psychological Association. He's also put down that he's a member of the American Counseling Association. If you've done some research or you have research skills, please list down your publications and the presentations that you've made in your CV or your resume. What are some activities that you're involved in? In this instant, the student was an orientation leader. Of course, you must list the year in which you did this activity. If you have done community service or you were a volunteer, please also list that down. What was your community service? In this instant, this person has put down he was a volunteer. Right? He was a volunteer Sunday school teacher. Where? At St. Edward's, Bloomington. You also must have the year and the date in which you did this community service. Your technical skills are very important, and you must also list them down in your CV and your resume. Some final tips. Please include a cover letter with your resume. You must print on good quality resume paper. When emailing your resume, please label your attachments with your name. Set up a professional email account. After submitting your resume, follow up with an email or phone call. Thank you very much for viewing this video. The video that you're about to see,
I will show you another last video, okay?
this is the first step when you communicate with the employer. In the application letter, you must have a purpose. What is your purpose? Clarifies the purpose of sending the resume. It arouses the employer's interest in your resume and improves your chances of being granted an interview. What are some qualities of well-written application letters? The you attitude. For example, a degree in marketing and my interpersonal skills will enable me to be the enthusiastic, hardworking sales representative you advertised for in your local daily newspapers. Instead of, I wish to be considered an applicant for the position of. The length, it should be addressed to a person, not to a title. You must have knowledge of employers' activities. You must have knowledge of the job requirements. And you must have benefit information that would benefit the reader. Your letter should be organized, and it must have style. And it also must have the basic mechanics and the basic contents of a well-written application letter. The letter plan, the opening session, arouses the reader's interest and makes him want to read a resume. The middle section touches upon your key qualifications and skills. The closing section, requesting an interview. Now the opening section. Name the person from whom you learnt about that job opening. For example, Mr. Ashok Ahuja and HR manager informed me about an opening of an editor in their publishing department. Because of my diploma in journalism and 3 years' experience on the news desk of a national newspaper, qualify me for such a position. Please consider me for the post. Your advertisement in the Hindu, dated October the 31st, for an ambitious, hardworking sales representative, lists requirements similar to my qualifications. A degree in marketing and 4 years of sales experience makes me confident of my ability to be the employee you would like to have in your organization. Please provide information about how your qualifications fit the job requirement. Several years of retail work experience in a women's garments boutique, a degree in international marketing, and an ability to put in long hours of work would enable me to perform well as the business head of the export division you are seeking. An ability to communicate well both orally and in writing, a degree in business administration, and a 6-month live project with a software engineering company are the qualifications I have that closely match the requirements of the systems analyst position open in your company. Opening section continued. Mention one of the company's significant accomplishments to catch the reader's eye. The recent article about I.T.S Steel, which appeared in Business Standard, convinces me that the foresight of your managers will allow the company's expansion plans to succeed. Please consider me for the area manager's post advertised in the 27th of September issue of the Economic Times. Make sure to include the title of the position for which you are applying in the first paragraph. In solicited letters of application, mention how you found out about the vacancy. In unsolicited application letter, openings with a list of your qualifications may be essential, as you need to convince the reader that the company would benefit by hiring you, even though there is no specific opening. For example, if you have an opening for a systems analyst who has done a 6-month live project for a software engineering company, has a degree in business administration, and a postgraduate diploma, please consider me for the post. Middle section, your understanding of the job requirements. Don't just state the job requirements. Please convince the reader that you have studied the position sufficiently to know that your qualification match the right requirements. For example, a background in statistics qualifies me as the research coordinator you are seeking, who is required to have an analytical background and to be familiar with statistical applications. Instead of, I understand you're looking for a hard-working, ambitious employee. Middle section, continued. Your educational achievements that qualify you for the job is very important. Present your education and work achievements in such a manner that their significance is apparent. Don't clutter letter by enumerating every course you've taken or every job you have held. Don't repeat the facts presented in resume. Interpret them for the reader. For example, the accounting and data processing courses I studied at the University of South Pacific enabled me to become familiar with the accounting theory, procedures and practices, as well as with computerized accounting processes. An understanding of the role of data processing in accounting would enable me to work effectively with clients who have installed computerized accounting systems. Selective courses in written and oral communication will also enable me to communicate effectively with these clients. Middle section. Your work experience that helps qualify you for the position. Show how your experience will be useful in the job which you are applying, or has helped you to develop your skills and made you a responsible, hardworking employee. You can also show that you've given you an opportunity to work with others. Any special qualifications give you an edge over other applicants? Please put that down in your letter. Your personal information, such as your marks, your grade, your average, your college activities in which you have participated, the honors and awards you have received, or some evidence of ability to shoulder responsibility, please put that in your application letter. Towards the end, refer to an enclosed resume. For example, my work experience outlined on the enclosed resume has taught me valuable lessons about working with others. closing section. Offer to provide additional information that the reader may require. The dates on which you might be available for an interview. For example, after you've read my resume, please call or write to let me know a time that is convenient for you to discuss the position with me. Should you need additional information, please let me know. Additional information about my qualifications for this position can be discussed during an interview. Although this letter and attached resume do outline several, you can reach me at telephone number so-and-so, and please let me know a time that is convenient for you to talk with me about the position. Remember that your application letter should be about 1¼ page. It should be clear, crisp, and concise. Thank you very much. All right, students, that concludes our program for today. Okay. For all these presentations, you can come down to the USP Career Center and Services, and we can download all these presentations for you, including the presentations from ANZ and the presentations from Think Pacific. Okay. With regards to your attendance, I think you've probably written out correctly and clearly your name and your student number on the list that's been going around there. Please write your names clearly. We'll be printing out your certificates, and these should be available on Friday next week. All right? You can sign them up, and you can pick them up at the careers office, which is behind Westpac Bank. You can come and see me, Mr. Semi Bilitaki, or Vanessa, who is sitting up there. All right? Any questions? All right, students, just on behalf of the Career Center and Services, we'd like to thank you very much for coming in today. And of course, these presentations, you can actually just bring one USB and we could download all these presentations onto your USB at the Career Center next week. Is that clear? All right, thank you very much for coming in today. Thank you. Please, just for attendance sake, if you haven't written your name, just write your name there. I think the list is with Vanessa at the back. Please write clearly. We don't want any problems to, in regards to your name being written down. Please write them down clearly.